Hello, one and all. Hello, and a happy special hello on Valentine's Day to you. Now, as you can see, we've got a whole new, redone the studio, a complete upgrading, a technological extravaganza. So we're actually shooting the show on the day before Valentine's Day because, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please, we're editing the show. And so we're going to, good friend David is going to be taking the time to edit the show. And so what you're seeing is post work, not just a live right as you get it, as we've been doing in the past. No, this is an upgrade to LATV because we're going to be soon sending out on every couple weeks, we're going to send out a real episode, real LATV. And this is our first experimental take on that, which is our special annual Valentine's Day show. So welcome, and thank you for including us in your Valentine's Day festivities. Well, you know, language is all we're dealing with here in Lachlan Land and LATV, and, you know, global context and the connection between language and the world and our relationship to it and what we're doing about it and all of that. So we always start with language. And I looked up love, you know, because of Valentine's Day. And, you know, love is, I tell you, when you look at the epistemology of it and where it came from and the derivatives and all that, you know, it's just not that, it's exciting, except I found a definition that said to thrive in, as in the rose loves sunlight. So remember that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, something about thriving in this whole business of love and Valentine's Day. And then we moved on to romance, and what's the deal with romance in terms of language? And the thing that I loved about romance, the one definition that I loved was an adventure or series of extraordinary events resembling those narrated in romances. His life was a romance. How sweet is that? And you know, I've got something sweet for you here because I like to also have some little props here. And what we've got is a beautiful little pen that we got at, look at that. Just so you know, we haven't slashed the budget on the props just because we've gone all out in terms of all the background paraphernalia that we've got here. We've still got some wonderful props. So there you have it. And, you know, I know that what I'd love to do, the thing that my kind of vision for Valentine's Day shows, episodes, extravaganzas, performances in the future is that, you know, the language of love is poetry. It just is. And this is the day of love, Valentine's Day. And often thought of as romantic love, but what the fuck, let's expand it out to just love in general because we don't have a love holiday. So let's have this be just all around love. And so I think what would be awesome is you have a poet, a wonderful poet on the show as your guest, as my guest. And what he or she does is reads her or his favorite poem written by another poet, and then reads their favorite poem written by them. And wouldn't that be awesome? And so in the spirit of that, I want to dedicate this show to Dorothy Parker. And Dorothy Parker, one of the greatest writers ever. And I want to show you, this is a beautiful book. If you want to get a book, this is a great book, which is The Poetry and Short Stories of Dorothy Parker. And Dorothy Parker, one of the thing that I love about Dorothy Parker, one of the things I love about her is that she only used as many words as were necessary. The right words are in the right place, no more, no less, perfection. And some of her best poems, or my favorite poems, are the shorter ones. And one of them, in line with Valentine's Day, is called Two-Volume Novel. The sun's gone dim, and the moon's turned black, for I loved him, and he didn't love back. I mean, that's it. Like, what else do you need? It's a perfection. The other thing I found, I love this, going through the storage unit the other day, and I found this ad that I kept, this postcard from a film festival way back in 2004, and look at the scene, obviously, from a movie. But look at that kiss. Look at the way he's holding her head in his hands and reaches in and kisses her. You know, that's a romance kiss. That's a Valentine's Day kiss. See, I don't think anyone's ever kissed me like that. Boy, I would love to have that kind of kiss. Yes, and some of you know, because you've been following the show, that I had kind of a debacle this Valentine's Day. Had a wonderful boy, wonderful man who was a young man who was my boyfriend, and decided he didn't want to be with me anymore. And so he sent me this text, and it read that he didn't want anything to do with me. My clothes were ugly. I was effeminate. I wasn't his type, on and on and on. And I want to tell you, I don't get fucked up a lot in life. I'm pretty gosh darn good at keeping all the crap that goes on in my head distinct from the reality of life, since there's no connection. But I got to tell you, when I got that text from him, I got fucked up, got really just fucked up, devastated, really devastated. And I got really interested in that, in this whole business of Valentine's Day and love and romance and language. What is it about that text? Obviously, it wasn't anything, just in the phone. There wasn't anything in the words that was devastating. There were just words. And so I thought, what is it that was so fucked up about it? And I wanted to really get something for myself, not just about me and this guy or me and my crummy little so-called relationship, whatever, but just about the fucking state of the planet, right? And the condition of the planet. And because I like to use my life for that kind of experiment. And I think, and here's what I got to, and I was really left with this, and this was a real insight for me, is that what happened as a result of those words, or kind of what those words provoked with me, or what I was left with. What I was left with in reading those texts was that I was left with that I wasn't known. I wasn't known. That all I was to this guy that I'd spent the time with and, gotten to know a bit, that ultimately how I was for him, or what I was known as for him, was just this effeminate guy that wasn't his type, that had ugly clothes. And that was it. And I was so diminished. It was just God, that's who I am for that guy, right? So then I got to thinking, okay, well, what is this whole deal? Because I was sent into a tailspin of despair. That's right. And that's kind of an interesting thing on Valentine's Day, isn't it? And it was, I was really left not known. And that he was completely disconnected to the impact of his words on me. And that was then it hit me that's the fucking Middle East, man. That's the planet. That's the world. Is that we got how many billions of people out there all relating to each other, all us relating to each other as whatever the fuck story we've got in our head. And people are totally walking around in this state of complete unknown. Not being known, not being honored, none of that, right? So no wonder everybody's out there doing the shit that they're doing. So I came up with my own kind of definition of love on this Valentine's Day, is that whatever it is, and I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to define it because that fucks up everything when you try to define it, but whatever it is to love, whatever it is to be loved, is that to be the space in which another blossoms into the fullness of themselves. To be the space in which another blossoms into the fullness of themselves, or another way to say it is that another is left known and celebrated for who he or she is. And not like you already know who he or she is. You don't know who they are, but you're going to discover it. You're going to find out in that kind of glorious exploration, that kind of world of mystery of love and romance. And so that's what I'm going to take on this year from this Valentine's Day and this kind of debacle that I've had, this venture into the dark side, is that I'm going to practice having people be left known and celebrated for who they are, and kind of be that kind of space for people into which, out of being with me, they blossom into the fullest expression of what they are. And that's what I'm going to take away from it. And I invite you to take away whatever you want to take away from it, but by God, wouldn't it be awesome if that was the nature of how we all related with each other? And so in the spirit of that, I'm going to leave you with a wonderful, wonderful poem from Dorothy Parker. And it's called Autumn Valentine. See, Valentine, right? In May my heart was breaking. Oh, wide the wound and deep. And bitter it beat at waking, and sore it split in sleep. And when it came November, I sought my heart and sighed. Poor thing, do you remember? What heart was that? It cried. Ah, brilliant, 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 right? So that's what I'm going to leave you with of Dorothy Parker's. And I want to leave you lastly with something from myself. And this is a piece that I've done a few times. Some of the shows that I've done, I actually close the show with it because it's a piece that I love, and it's a piece that came to me while I was actually in bed with a guy, a wonderful guy. And it was one of those things, magical things, that the piece just came to me. And, luckily I was able to hold it in my head long enough that once we got our clothes on, I could get the thing written down, and it was just beautiful. And so I give this to you. And when we have finished our lovemaking, our mad, passionate lovemaking, I will not comb my hair. I will leave it wild. The wild that you called it as you brushed it from my face to kiss my eyes. And I will not shower. I will leave myself exactly as you left me. I will leave you on me, smelling you, remembering you, and from time to time, reaching my tongue down and tasting you on my bare shoulder. No one will see you as I walk through my late afternoon, but you will be there, in the fabric of my clothes, in the pores of my skin, and in that place in my heart that your most tender kisses reach. There you will be, here with me. I love you. Happy Valentine's Day.